A life upended. Dorothy Jane Scott and the Shadow of Fear. Dorothy Jane Scott was a young single mother, devoted to her son and her work. She lived in Stanton, California, a quiet suburb where she felt safe and secure. Dorothy was known for her kindness and dedication to her young son, Sean. She was a loving mother who always put her child first. However, her life took a dark turn in 1980, a year that would forever change her fate. A stalker emerged from the shadows, casting a pall over Dorothy's life. This mysterious figure seemed to know everything about her. It began with eerie phone calls that shattered her peace. A man's voice, filled with menace, whispered threats that sent chills down her spine. He claimed to be watching her every move, making her feel constantly surveilled. The stalker's words dripped with obsession, each call more disturbing than the last. He detailed her daily routines with unnerving precision, leaving her feeling exposed and vulnerable. He described her movements with unsettling accuracy. Fear constricted Dorothy's life, turning her home into a prison. She was a prisoner in her own home. The police were involved, but their efforts seemed futile. But the stalker remained elusive, a phantom lurking just out of reach, always one step ahead. Dorothy tried to stay strong, determined to protect her son and herself. She changed her routines and phone number, hoping to escape the relentless torment. But the stalker always found her, no matter what she did. The calls continued, each one a hammer blow to her sanity, eroding her sense of security. The voice on the other end of the line became her tormentor, a constant reminder of the danger that lurked nearby, never allowing her a moment's peace. The nightmare had only just begun, and Dorothy's life was engulfed in a shadow of fear that seemed impossible to escape. The Vanishing, May 28, 1980. May 28, 1980, started like any other day. The sun rose over the suburban neighborhood, casting a warm glow on the streets. People began their routines, unaware of the dark events that would unfold. Dorothy went to work at Anaheim Medical Center. She was a dedicated employee, known for her kindness and professionalism. Her coworkers noticed she seemed nervous. Dorothy had been receiving strange phone calls, and it was clear something was troubling her. Later that evening, Dorothy attended a work meeting at the Disneyland Hotel. The hotel, usually a place of joy and laughter, would soon become the backdrop for a mystery. She was accompanied by a coworker, Conrad Bostrom. The meeting was uneventful, filled with the usual discussions and plans. Around 11 p.m., Dorothy and Conrad left the meeting. The night was calm, the air cool. As they walked to the parking lot, they noticed Dorothy's car had been tampered with. The headlights were out, and something felt off. Conrad offered to fix the lights. He bent over the hood, trying to figure out what was wrong. Dorothy waited by the car. Minutes ticked by. Conrad looked up, expecting to see her. Dorothy was gone, vanished. It was as if she had disappeared into thin air. He searched the parking lot, calling her name. There was no sign of her anywhere. Panic seized him as the gravity of the situation sunk in. His heart raced and his mind filled with dread. He contacted the authorities, his voice trembling as he reported Dorothy's disappearance. Every second felt like an eternity. The police arrived at the scene. Their flashing lights illuminated the dark parking lot, casting eerie shadows. A chill settled over the air as darkness swallowed the parking lot. The once bustling area now felt ominous and foreboding. Dorothy Jane Scott had disappeared without a trace. The mystery of her vanishing would haunt the community for years to come. Whispers from the void, the chilling phone calls. Days turned into weeks, weeks bled into months. The passage of time did little to ease the pain or the mystery surrounding Dorothy's disappearance. The silence surrounding Dorothy's disappearance was shattered by a series of bone-chilling phone calls. These calls were not just random, they were calculated, each one more terrifying than the last. Dorothy's mother received the first call. Her heart raced as she picked up the receiver, hoping for news, any news, about her missing daughter. The voice on the other end was unmistakable. It was the stalker. His voice was cold, menacing, and filled with a chilling certainty. He claimed responsibility for Dorothy's disappearance. The calls continued. Each one was brief, terrifying. Each call left the family more desperate and terrified. The stalker taunted the police. He seemed to enjoy the game, always staying one step ahead, always knowing just how to push their buttons. He toyed with Dorothy's family. Each call was a cruel reminder of their helplessness, a twisted form of psychological torture. He claimed Dorothy was still alive. This claim was a double-edged sword, offering a glimmer of hope while deepening the family's despair. He said he would release her, but he never did. Each broken promise was a dagger to the heart, each unanswered question a source of endless torment. The calls were a macabre symphony of torment, each ring a gut punch to those who loved Dorothy most. The phone became an instrument of dread, its ring a harbinger of more bad news. The police traced the calls. They worked tirelessly, following every lead, hoping to catch the elusive stalker. They led to various payphones across Southern California. Each location was another dead end, another frustration in an already agonizing case. The stalker was always one step ahead. He seemed to vanish into thin air, leaving no trace behind, only the echo of his chilling voice. The calls offered a glimmer of hope. Each ring was a chance, however slim, that Dorothy might be found. They also plunged Dorothy's loved ones further into the abyss of despair. The emotional roller coaster was unbearable, the highs fleeting, the lows devastating. Each unanswered ring was a painful reminder of their loss. The silence that followed was deafening, a void that could never be filled. Fragments of horror. The discovery at Cajun Pass. In 1984, 4 years after Dorothy's disappearance, a horrifying discovery sent shockwaves through the investigation. A hiker stumbled upon human skeletal remains in a remote area near Cajun Pass. The location was rugged, isolated. It was a place where secrets were buried. Forensic experts painstakingly pieced together the skeletal remains. The bones told a grim story. They belonged to Dorothy Jane Scott. The news of the discovery brought a mix of emotions, relief, horror, and a renewed thirst for justice. The discovery at Cajun Pass deepened the mystery. It also ignited a burning question that haunted everyone involved. Who took Dorothy to this desolate place and why? Section 5. The enigma deepens, a tangled web of suspects. As the investigation into Dorothy's murder progressed, several potential suspects emerged from the shadows. Each individual brought their own baggage of secrets and unsettling connections to the case. One person of interest was Mike Butler. He was a coworker of Dorothy's. He had briefly dated her. Witnesses placed him near Dorothy's apartment in the weeks leading up to her disappearance. Another suspect was a man named Terry. Dorothy had confided in her friends about him. Terry had become obsessed with her. He had even threatened violence when she rejected his advances. Authorities investigated each suspect thoroughly. They followed leads. They conducted interviews. They searched for any shred of evidence that could connect them to Dorothy's murder. However, despite their efforts, the case remained unsolved. Section 6. The Phantom Caller, a twisted game of cat and mouse. The phone calls from Dorothy's stalker continued even after the discovery of her remains. The caller taunted the police with cryptic clues. He seemed to revel in the pain he was inflicting. He played a twisted game of cat and mouse with the authorities. Investigators tried to trace the calls, but the stalker was always one step ahead. He used payphones, burner phones, and other tactics to conceal his identity. The voice on the other end of the line became a haunting enigma, a disembodied specter that seemed to mock their efforts to bring Dorothy's killer to justice. The calls were a chilling reminder that Dorothy's case was far from over. They were a testament to the fact that someone out there possessed intimate knowledge of the crime and was determined to keep the truth hidden in the shadows. Section 7. Lost in the labyrinth, dead ends, and cold trails. Years turned into decades. The investigation into Dorothy Jane Scott's murder continued. It became a labyrinth of dead ends and cold trails. Detectives chased every lead. They interviewed countless individuals. They explored every possible scenario. But the pieces of the puzzle never seemed to fit. The case files grew thicker with each passing year. The evidence was examined and re-examined. New technologies were employed in the hope of uncovering fresh insights. Despite the tireless efforts of law enforcement, Dorothy's killer remained elusive. The passage of time only served to deepen the mystery and the frustration surrounding the case. Section 8. A Mother's Anguish, the unending search for answers. Throughout the years, one person never gave up on Dorothy, her mother Vera. Vera Scott dedicated her life to seeking justice for her daughter. She never stopped searching for answers. She became an advocate for missing persons. She worked tirelessly to keep Dorothy's case in the public eye. Vera's unwavering determination was a testament to the enduring power of a mother's love. She refused to let her daughter's memory fade. She became a symbol of hope for other families who had endured similar tragedies. Vera's unwavering pursuit of justice was an inspiration to all who knew her. She embodied the unwavering spirit of a mother who would never rest until her daughter's killer was brought to justice. Section 9. An eerie silence. Dorothy's case remains open. Today, Dorothy Jane Scott's case remains unsolved. The eerie silence surrounding her disappearance continues to haunt those who knew her. It serves as a chilling reminder that some mysteries may never be fully unraveled. The passage of time may have faded memories, but it has not diminished the need for answers. The case stands as a testament to the enduring power of hope.